appears that with under 2 hours to go until his deadline, the media personality, Dr JJ Onkgopotse Tabane, is not going to retract his claim that the former Finance Minister Trevor Manuel was part of the formation of the political party, the Congress of the People. Tabane made the claims in a podcast, which was then published on YouTube. He says that Manuel was part of the formation of COPE in 2008. The party was created after the ANC recalled former President Thabo Mbeki. Manuel says the claims are not true and that he will sue Tabane in court unless he makes the retraction and makes the retraction in public. We did get in touch with JJ Tabane today to ask him to speak to us about this. He says he's not able to do interviews on the issue at the moment. He's waiting to see what claim Manuel will make against him in court. Well, the former minister, Trevor Manuel, joins us now. Mr. Manuel, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Why do you want to sue JJ Tabane?
And your team.
Thank you. Why do you want to sue JJ Tabane?
You know, JJ made this outlandish statement that I was very much part of the formation of COPE, and I don't know why he picked on me saying I can get angry, but he knows that I was there. But it is so patently untrue. And, you know, he mentioned quite a few names from the ANC, including, he said, Patricia de Lille, who was never in the ANC. I first knew her when she was in the PAC. But I was never involved in that process, Stephen. You know, I've gone to check. COPE was launched on the 16th of December, 2008. At that time, I was a member of the National Executive Committee of the ANC, and I was the Minister of Finance. Now, surely it stands to reason that if the Minister of Finance is involved in a public set of events to launch a rival political party, that some journalist would have picked it up, because it's so strange that one could take such a position when you're holding a public office. I mean, you know, I just find it completely bizarre. But, you know, I invited JJ Tabane to recant his statement, and he refuses. Now, for me, it's strongly a matter of principle, because if indeed I was a member of the NEC of the ANC and a cabinet minister and involved in a counter activity, then I clearly am not to be trusted, because I'm a person without integrity. And so it's for my integrity that I will stand, and it's on that basis that I asked him to recant his statement, and he's refusing to do that. He leaves me no choice.
So just to be clear, there's no proof you played no role at all in the formation of COPE. You didn't speak to people, you didn't encourage people, you didn't suggest to anyone. There's no WhatsApp somewhere. This was before WhatsApp, I suppose. You didn't suggest to anyone in the ANC that maybe we needed a new political party.
I certainly did not. And I've said, Stephen, I knew the kind of three main movers of COPE for a long time: Leki George, Musiba Lekota, and Bazima Shilowa. I've known them, but for that entire period, I didn't see them at all. You know, I was just not going to be in the frame. I wasn't invited to be in the frame, and I was not in the frame. It would have been too big a contradiction to try and do that. So where Onkgopotse Tabane finds this from, I don't know. But I should know whether I was there or not. In fact, Stephen, as it happens, a journalist on the Financial Daily sent me a message today saying she was part of COPE and she can confirm that I wasn't there. COPE itself issued a statement through Dennis Bloom saying that these statements by JJ are just acts of malice. There's no truth to them at all. And Bazima Shilowa tweeted to the effect that JJ should stop peddling lies. Now, who do you want to believe in the situation? I don't know what's riding on it for JJ, but it clearly is a fool's errand that is on.
What would it take for you not to sue him? Is it just a retraction? I presume a public retraction?
As I said to him in the letter on Monday, I said I ask him to retract publicly, because you may have seen over the weekend that in one of the Sunday papers, there was a statement by Minister Lindiwe Sisulu asking President Ramaphosa to investigate this thing. on Monday in one of the Joburg dailies, there was a screaming photograph with the faces of Thabo Mbeki, Peter Mboweni, and I, and a banner headline about this matter. But all of it is premised on a figment of JJ Tabane's imagination. Now, I know that certainly in the light of Donald Trump, post-truth has become fashionable. I mean, he told an average of 14.6 lies a day for each day that he was the President of the United States, but it's not something that we should tolerate. I mean, it can't just become the truth because JJ Tabane so declares it. It's wrong. It's just wrong. He has no control over my life, and he certainly has no control over my integrity, and I won't allow him to get there.
There's an important issue that you talk about there, that we live in a sort of what's called a post-truth era. Do you think that fake news, lies, have an impact on our society? I would suggest, this is just my view, that our politics has quite a lot of lies in it at the moment.
I think that there's too much. I think that there's too much in the political space, and unfortunately, a lot of this is assisted by social media. Now, I don't know what this initiative that JJ was involved in, which is called, strangely, the Hustler's Corner. I don't know what it is. I don't know what its status is, but certainly this clip would have been seen multiple times by people who may be persuaded by it. Why does he set about on a mission like that? I cannot for the life of me understand. But if we accept this as a new norm, I think our lives will change irrevocably. And we should not allow a change in who we are as people and as a nation, because that changes the way in which we relate to each other. I mean, going to court is not something that I really want to do. That is why my request to JJ was that he recall his statement and apologize in public. Hopefully, his apology will reach as many people as who had seen the consequences of his statements in that Hustler's Corner, whatever it is.
You were a cabinet minister for a long time, and you must be watching what's happening in our politics, I mean, quite closely. I'm sure you have a view. If I recall correctly, you're no longer a member of the ANC. I think that's right. You'll know better than I. When you look at the situation we're in, when you look at South Africa's financial situation, our political situation after the pandemic, what do you think we need to do? Do you worry about the future of our country right now?
I'm deeply worried about South Africa because, we have a marvelous constitution. I know that there's a matter being argued by AfriForum about the flag. Some people would like to go back to apartheid. We must not allow it to happen. We must cherish the point we reach, and that point is articulated in our constitution. It defines who we are and what we must become. It sets out very, very clear commitments. We adopted the constitution, it says in the preamble, so as to raise the living standards of all citizens and to free the potential of each person. That's a fundamentally important commitment. We can't walk away from it. It wasn't just meant to be words on paper. We have to hold ourselves to the highest standards. Those of us who were engaged in the struggle for liberation, I think, must continue to raise these issues and not allow us to be drawn into a maelstrom of corruption and so on. I thought that the Zondo Commission had articulated these matters very well, but we've also heard from Eskom, certainly from Andre de Ruyter, that even though the Zondo Commission has pronounced the number of individuals and events at Eskom, there still is deep-rooted corruption, which results, for instance, in the daily power outages. The press today is reporting in some detail on the events in Transnet, where we can mine, but we can't get commodities to port. Progressively, South Africans are becoming poorer, and as this happens, there's a sharp cleavage between people who have the means and people who don't. And people who don't have the means don't have jobs, don't have houses, don't have access to basic public services. And this cannot be allowed to happen in a democracy. And so we must all raise this matter and ask the tough questions and ask what it will take to reignite the passion that recognizes that we are because of each other and that the poorest in society are as important as those who are of means.
I think, Mr. Manuel, many people will listen to you and find what you're saying quite powerful. I think many people are giving up hope in all sorts of things. They're giving up hope in governance. They're giving up hope in the governing party. They're giving up hope in President Cyril Ramaphosa. Do you believe there's still reasons to hope?
Stephen, for probably 99% of your viewers this afternoon, we have nowhere else to go. This is our country. Everything we own is here. Part of what we own are the hopes for our children and their children. And unless we speak up and call out what is wrong, we will deny the prospects and the opportunities for successive generations. That's what democracy was meant to change in South Africa. Those were what the events of the 27th of April 1994 were about. We were meant to put this country on a very different path, focus on inclusiveness and rights and equality before the law. That's not what people experience right now. I mean, you know, it doesn't matter what you look at. Doesn't matter what you look at. And my heart goes out to the Gandhi family after the tragic murder and rape of Hillary last week. But by the same token, as ordinary South Africans, we must say to Minister Becky Cele and Commissioner, the National Commissioner of Police, Matamula, you can't single out one murder because we're all equal. All our lives have equal worth. And therefore, you've got to organize the police so that they can deal with these issues in time. And the police must be able to prepare cases so that cases are won and perpetrators are convicted. Now, that's not happening because the police seem to be incapable of placing cases before the court. This is a deep, deep tragedy. And if there are no consequences for wrongdoing, there's no sense of justice. And that the absence of justice, I think, is what would impact on the lives of people every day.
Trevor Manuel, sir, thank you for your time.